All right, so Joe Burrow played through his calf injury and barely beat the Rams. He said the risk of re-injury wasn't greater than the risk of going 0-3. So now the Bengals go to Tennessee and Arizona, where they will be favored in both games. Are Joe Burrow and the Bengals back?
No, not at all. Yeah. They look back to anybody yesterday. I mean, listen, I don't blame Joe for this, but he can't throw the ball down the field because of his injury. He can't roll out of the pocket because of his injury. He can barely protect himself because of his injury. And this is why I think the Bengals are making a massive mistake. I think they could have won yesterday without Joe Burrow. I understand he threw the ball like 50 times, but I am not taking a shot at him. He is an injured player, and there's only one Patrick Mahomes. There's only one guy that, even on one leg, is still the best quarterback in football. It's just true. And so any other player would be, and maybe Mahomes with a calf injury as opposed to a half-broken ankle would have been compromised. I have my doubts, but everybody else is going to be compromised. Joe shouldn't have been out there. And not only did you put him out there, but in a game where the Rams cannot move the ball, you asked Joe Burrow to drop back. He dropped back 54 times. 49 pass attempts, sacked twice, ran the ball 3 times. That's 54 dropbacks. And the reason I think this is foolish is because if your goal is the Super Bowl in Cincinnati, which it clearly is, the only way to reach that goal is to have Joe Burrow be healthy at the end. And by playing him right now, I think you're almost guaranteeing this calf issue is going to linger all year long, potentially get worse. And now you might say, well, what good is he healthy if we miss the playoffs? Understand. But when you have the Rams, the Titans, and the Cardinals, and then they have a tough game and then the bye. It's Rams, Titans, Cardinals, then home for the Seahawks, and then a bye. You could have asked Jake Browning and the rest of your team, can they get you to 2-2 through these 4 and then be 2-4 and alive with a healthy Joe Burrow? They went in another direction, and the guy's throwing the ball 4 yards past the line of scrimmage on average. I just don't think it's a sustainable model. I worry for Joe. Everybody is talking about, oh my goodness, he could, a calf can lead to an Achilles. And that's true, but set that aside. DeMonze, you know what a calf injury can lead to in the NFL? A broken collarbone. A broken collarbone. You know why? Because you can't escape and somebody can get hit. Exactly. Like, everybody's talking about the Achilles because Rodgers had the calf strain, popped his Achilles. Durant had a calf strain, popped his Achilles. I get that. But the idea that that's the only injury it can lead to disregards the fact that this is a contact sport.
And in the NBA, already struggling.
Yeah, exactly. In the NBA, all you really worry about with that a calf will turn into an Achilles. But in the NFL, a calf can turn into a separated shoulder. A calf can turn into anything because Aaron Donald and next week Jeffrey Simmons are bearing down on you and throwing you to the ground. And so, Joe Burrow, I know there's this like Bengals-Chiefs rivalry, and so people think I'm anti-Bengals. I am not anti-Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has always conducted himself awesome. He's been a clutch player. He's been great. I think he's super cool. I like the way he carries him, all of that. And I think right now is an example of the team needing to protect him from himself. And I don't think he is. The gap between Joe Burrow and Jake Browning was a really good college player who's thrown one pass in the NFL. So I have no idea if he's going to, even be a league average backup. The gap between Burrow and Browning is massive. But the gap between this version of Joe Burrow and Browning might not be. And I just think Cincinnati is doing the wrong thing here. In a week where we saw Gardner Minshew come in and beat the Ravens, where we saw Andy Dalton come in and play fine, where we saw Jameis Winston come in off the bench and lead a drive that put him in field goal range. They ended up losing, but led a drive that put them in field goal range. Like, I think it's a mistake. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.